106 Brown Bag Mornings. I'm Letty here with my guy Rose
Yes.
Kranzvik, and we are in the presence of a living legend,
Legendary.
Mr. Smokey Robinson. Good morning,
Yeah.
Smokey.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you so much for coming by. I'm sure you know this already, but I don't think there's a voice or songwriter that is as loved by everyone in the world like you, Smokey Robinson.
Absolutely.
Well, that's beautiful. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And the fact that you're still making music, there's so many artists that rely on their old catalog, but here you come with Gasms, this new album.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, we listened to it, and hearing the music that you're dropping today and the music that you've dropped consistently for decades, it's like you haven't missed anything. You haven't missed a beat. Your voice is still silky smooth. It's amazing to hear you still contribute to music.
Well, I don't know what to say behind all that. I just appreciate
you.
you.
Need to hear it.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
All right.
Absolutely. Do you know how much Mexicans love you?
You know what? We have a really large Hispanic audience participate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When everywhere we play, really.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I have been learning to speak Spanish for about the past 8 years
No
or so.
way.
Yes.
But we have and it is beautiful. It
Your
really
music
man.
is huge, obviously, but specifically in like car culture, lowrider
Yeah.
culture. Like my dad is like the biggest fan of you. He has
I
a
love him.
1964 Impala, and he loves to play cruising.
All right.
So this is like a big deal. I'm like, dude, I used to hear this all the time. But yeah, Mexicans love you, just so you
Yeah.
know.
I appreciate it.
Have you been in a lowrider? I'm sure it was even.
I have not had the pleasure of being in a
Oh,
lowrider
my,
yet.
we need to
way.
get
I
you
want-
on
I
a
want to.
Lolo.
You made the lowriding anthem, cruising.
Yeah.
I want to. You
Yeah.
know, I want to feel the car go up and go
And
down.
the hydraulics.
Call my
Come
dad
on.
right now. He'll be here in 20 minutes.
Exactly.
But let's go to that song Cruising. What did it mean for you? Because clearly what it does mean for us is it's Sunday afternoon. I want to drive the lowrider, just be out. In LA, the weather's so good. So a Sunday afternoon drive, playing Cruising is amazing. Where were you at when you wrote and created this song?
Well, Cruising is a song that took me 5 years to write.
Wow.
Yeah, it took a long time because my guitarist, he's dead now, but he was just such an inspiration for me as far as songwriting. He was
Yeah.
my best songwriting partner I've ever had. He was on so many hits. And what he would do is he would put his guitar riffs on a tape. At that time we had tapes.
Yeah.
And put it on a tape for me. And I had this little cassette player, and I would play it. And I loved the music for Cruising so much, what he had played.
Yeah.
I would let it put me to sleep at night. And I tried 2 or 3 other songs to that, and they didn't work because his music was so sensual and so sexy.
Yeah.
So I had to wait till I could come up with something I felt that
Fits
rated
it,
his music.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like you said, man. I was in L.A. and I grew up in Detroit.
Yeah.
And the winters in Detroit are brutal.
Oh, yeah, I
you know
bet.
what I mean? And so I'm out here. I just moved out here. I hadn't been living out here too long, and it's in December, and I'm driving down Sunset.
And their son.
With my top down.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I thought to myself, I'd come up with the first 3 lines of the chorus. You're going to fly away. I'm glad you're going my way because I love it. I love what? I love the fact that I got you. No, I love the fact
Yeah.
that I tried 20 I love it's, and none of them worked. Okay, so I'm driving down Sunset. My top is down. It's December.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, damn, I'm out here. It's December, and I'm cruising down Sunset with my top down. And I said, that's it, cruising. So I
Yeah.
turned my car around and went back home
Wow.
and put that on there.
And
And then it
finished
allowed me
it.
to finish up the rest of the song.
Oh, my
And people come to me
gosh.
all and say, well, what did you mean by cruising? I mean whatever you mean.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever you mean when you're cruising with your person, that's,
That's
what I
what it's
mean.
meant for.
Yeah, people come to me, they I bet you this. No. I mean whatever you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an incredible song.
That's
You
how I
just-
feel about the Gasms album. People say, well, what do you mean by Gasms? I mean whatever you mean.
Yeah.
Whatever your
Okay,
gasm
because
is.
what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever your gasm
Yeah.
is, that's what I
Yeah.
mean.
Whatever that is, it's an eargasm.
Yeah,
See, it's
eargasm. Yeah.
Right there. Smokey, I was even thinking about like your stage name, right? Smokey Robinson. What that means today. Like we have like the movie Friday had an iconic Smokey in it, right? And it's so funny that you were the first. I think you're the first, and if we have like the top tier Smokies, it's you.
Oh,
And then Friday Smokey, and then my cousin Smokey that's locked up. But
All right.
There's a lot of cholos named Smokey. now.
when you were coming up with a stage name, I feel like that was at a time where people were using their names.
But you know what? That wasn't a stage name for me. No. I had an uncle, my Uncle Claude. And when I was about 3 or 4 years old, he used to take me to see cowboy movies. I loved cowboys. If you asked me what I wanted to be at that time in my life, I wanted to be a cowboy because I loved cowboys, and especially the ones who sang. There was a guy, Roy Rogers, Gene Autry. They had guitars. They had groups. They sang. I loved them. So I loved cowboys so much. He had a cowboy name for me. He named me Smokey Joe. So when I was 5 and 6 years, you asked me, my name is Smokey Joe. My Uncle Claude said my name is Smokey Joe, and that's what my name is. Everybody throughout my life, from that time on, called me Smokey Joe. My teachers, everybody.
Right.
Okay. When I got to be about 12 years old, they dropped the Joe off, and I just became Smokey. So that name has been with me my whole life.
Oh my gosh. And it allowed you to pretend. It allowed you to be that cowboy. Like you see Smokey Joe. And I'm sure that's you.
Yeah.
That's you and your Western and singing, And then it turns into something super different nowadays,
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about Motown and Detroit in your era came up with so much talent, right? And like talent near you. Like I heard that you grew up next to Aretha Franklin, Diana Ross, and I wanted to know if there's like something in the water at that time, did you think, or was it the competition factor at Motown that you had to, outperform like the person next to you essentially, or just bring your level of creation up?
Okay, man, let me tell you something. I think that everywhere, not just Detroit, everywhere really in the world, just ratio-wise, how many people there just ratio-wise, might have that same amount of talent.
Wow.
We had Berry Gordy, man. We had a dude who was a music dude, and when I met him, he was a songwriter and a record producer, and he was at the top.
Yeah.
He was at the helm. You know what I mean? Back in those days, most record companies were run by attorneys or some rich guy who had nothing else to do, so let me start a record company and do that. He was a music man. That was his first love. And he knew music, and he loved music, and he loved mentoring people. So we had him.
Yeah.
And that was our advantage, because we had a music man on top who knew what he wanted, who knew what music is and what we were doing back in those days, rather than some cat who just said, okay, well, I'm just going to get into the music business and do it. So I think that was our advantage, and we did have a lot of talented people around there in my neighborhood. I'm surprised that I'm not surprised really, because I tell everybody it was a God day. When I met Berry Gordy, it was a God day, man, because my favorite singer at that time was Jackie Wilson. I don't know if you guys even know who Jackie Wilson was, but Jackie Wilson was the Michael Jackson of his day. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I loved Jackie Wilson, and Jackie Wilson was from Detroit also, and his managers were in Detroit talent scouting, and we got wind of it, and we went to sing for them. And rather than singing songs that were currently popular by other people and other artists, we sang 5 songs that I had written. And so we had a girl in our group at that time, and you guys don't know anything about this, I'm sure, but there was a group called the Platters, and the Platters had a girl in the group and a guy who sang high. And when we got through auditioning for them, we thought that if we sang these songs that they had never heard, they would say, "Oh, we signed these kids because they they got their own
unique.
material."
Wow,
they got their own material. Wrong. They didn't like us at all, man. They told us that you will never ever make it because we got the Platters. And the Platters got a girl in the group, and they got a high singing dude.
Right.
So like the slot's already filled.
Yeah, so that we don't need another Platters. So I'm sorry, Just so happens that Berry Gordy was there that day to turn in some new songs to Jackie Wilson. One of them being "Lonely Teardrops," if you know that song.
Yeah.
And he was there to turn, and he heard the songs that we sang. He liked 2 of my songs, and so he came out afterwards and said he had liked 2 of my songs, and we started a conversation, and he wanted to hear some more of my material. But that's how I met him.
Wow.
And he started to mentor me in songwriting, and so about a year or so after that, he started Motown, man. And
wow,
that's
Man.
that's incredible.
So I said it was a God day.
It was definitely a God day. And
Yes,
when they
indeed.
say like rejection will lead you to the next blessing, right there. Like it happened in one, like
Instantly.
probably within the hour, they said no, and then you met And then you met him right after it.
He was watching the audition.
Yeah.
He was there. And I tell young people that all the time, honey. There's a whole lot of rejection. You know, when you're pursuing this, there's a whole lot of rejection.
Yeah.
If you can withstand all the rejection, all the people telling you no and we can't use you and all this stuff, and you still love it enough to pursue it, go for it.
Yep.
You know, if you can't take that, do something else.
Yeah.
Because, you know, people look at show business and they say, oh, yeah, this is easy. All you got to do is sing or play something or dance or do something. No.
It's a whole
In your
different
town,
thing. Yeah.
wherever it is, there's 1 million people trying to get that spot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to love it to stick it out and withstand all those no's and, well, we can't use you right now and all, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's tough.
Yeah, man. Now, Smokey, when we go back to your Smokey Joe and what you wanted to be, at what point were you like, I'm going to sing, I'm going to songwrite? Even songwriting is an art in itself. I'm sure it comes natural to you, but I can't write a lyric for nothing, you know?
But you do this.
Right.
Everybody's
I'm a
got their
storyteller.
gig, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We
How did
all
you
make this
know
world
that,
go round.
How did you know that your gift was writing?
I didn't look at it like that, babe. I really didn't. I didn't look at it like it was a gift or anything like that because I was a little boy. You know, I've been trying to write poems and songs and stuff like that since I was 5 years old. You know, and so I just looked at it just something I like to do.
Yeah.
I just like to do this. And when I got to be about 7 or 8, I really wanted to be a singer. But where I grew up in the hood, and so I didn't think that was going to be possible for me.
there, yeah.
No, this will never be possible. So that was just my impossible dream, you know. And but I really wanted to be a singer, and I've always tried to write songs and poems and stuff like that since I was about 5 or 6 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. These songs and poems that you just tried to write, or like Grammy Award, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
no,
like
no,
all
let
of
me-
things.
Biggest songs ever.
You know, just light work, just a little something.
You know, I mentioned to you about Barry Gordy mentoring me on
Yeah.
writing songs
Yeah.
because when we had 2 songs out of the 5 songs that
Right.
we
Yep.
sang
He
for,
liked.
for Jackie Wilson's managers that day when he was there, that he liked because I could always rhyme stuff. Always, all my life, since I was 5, 6 years old, I was writing little poems and rhyming stuff. I could always rhyme stuff. But when I met him, I only had 2 songs that made sense all the way through because my songs were all rhymed up. But I'm going to give you an example of what they
Yeah.
were. My first verse would be saying, oh, baby, I love you so much, and I'm so glad you're here in my arms, and I'm holding you like this, and we've been together forever, and so on and so forth. Don't ever leave. And it'd be all rhymed up, okay? The second verse would say, oh, baby, when are you coming back? I haven't seen you in 10 years, and I miss you so much, and I want you back.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the
But
sequences
it'd be
are
all
right.
rhymed
Yeah.
up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he finally said to me after I sang 20 songs to him, he said, wait, man, let me tell you something. He said, a song has got to be a short book, a short story, a short movie, something where the beginning and the middle and the ending tie in together
Yeah.
and give people one story, one idea.
Yeah.
He said, you got 5 songs in one
In
song.
one song.
Yeah. So it took a while to learn to write consistently, professionally.
Yeah.
And he told me, he said, listen to the radio and see what people are writing and that, you know. And so I did, because I really wanted this, and so I really listened. And see, I grew up in a house. In my home, there was always music of every kind you can think of, you know. And so my mom always played, you know, she played the blues. She played, you know, John Lee Hooker and Muddy Waters and B.B. King and people like that, you know. But she also played gospel, the ward singers and the Five Blind Boys, and you know, Sam Cooke was in a group called the Soul Stirrers at that time. You know, so she played all that kind of music like that, you know. And then sometimes for 2 or 3 days in a row, my mom would play only Beethoven and Bach and Chopin and people like that. So I'm hearing all that. But now I got 2 older sisters, and between my youngest sister was 14 when I was born. And my 2 sisters, they were playing people like Sarah Vaughan and Dizzy Gillespie and Count Basie and Duke Ellington and all the jazz people and stuff. And then they had some music that they play called bebop. And so I'm getting all this music, as a kid growing up. So I love music, and I love all kinds of music. So, but like I said, I didn't think that it would be my life, or that I'd get a chance to have it be my life.
Yeah.
But I was listening to real songwriters, you know, and those people, you know, like I tell people all the time, they say, well, what is your goal as a songwriter? My goal is to be Beethoven, you know. We're still playing
Forever.
Beethoven. It's been 600 years. and we're still playing Beethoven.
Yep.
We're still playing Bach. We're still playing those. So I want to write songs and write music that people will love like that, if I
Forever.
possibly can.
Yep.
Yeah.
That 500 years from now,
Well,
they'll say, "Oh, well, let's play some Smokey Robinson." So,
you did it because
Yeah,
people are gonna
you
play
did
My
it
Girl
forever.
People are gonna play Cruising
well,
Forever.
I appreciate that, man. I
Yeah.
love you.
Are there any sessions, like you've worked with so many talented artists and wrote so many hits? Are there any sessions that you kind of wish you could relive like one more time?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of those, man. Yeah, there's a lot of those, especially with Marvin Gaye, man, because Marvin Gaye was my brother.
Yeah.
He was my man. I mean, we were together every day, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I miss him. I hear his
Yeah.
music now, and I wonder what he would think, to know that they're still playing his music and that he's still
Yeah.
popular and people still know who he is and like that,
Yeah.
But, yeah, I miss him, and I miss being with him in the studio. Marvin was always late. He was always late, man. It got to the point where if I was going to work with him in the studio, I would tell him, okay, man, the session's going to start at 7 o'clock. It's really going to start at 8 or 8:30. It's going to start at 7 o'clock. He would still be late.
Still be late for the 8:30.
He wouldn't get there till 9. Come running. Oh, Smoke, man, I'm sorry, baby. Some excuse. But I didn't care because I knew that once he learned my song, I used to tell him he Marvinized my songs. Because he did stuff vocally that I hadn't even thought of.
Wow.
Here's the song, man. So now you sing it like you. And he did stuff that you wouldn't even think about. I didn't think about, as far as the song went.
Yeah.
Yep.
He made it his own. So I didn't care because he was late because I knew he was going to
He was
rip my
worth the wait.
Yeah, I knew he was going to do it,
Yeah.
know. And so, yeah, I would like to do that again. I like to, but it's not possible because he's not here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those memories are going to be forever too, and I'm sure you got the personality side of him because we know the musician, but I know he had a personality too. And likewise with you, Smokey, like you have such a humor to you too. You're gonna laugh at life. We saw you. What was the video we saw him in?
The gangbanging.
The gangbang.
Oh, the
But
gangbanging?
it's like
Oh,
you're
yeah.
okay with
Yeah.
like put me in any situation. I'm gonna have a fun time.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important to like keep that. You have such a youthfulness about you, Smokey. Like there's
Thank
such
you.
and that continues throughout the music. Before we go with Gasms, what I think is incredible about the music you write and the stories you tell is that the story of love, of heart, of connection, that never ends. The stories, the music, the songs about the cool things of the moments, those are fleeting, right? But you make forever music because you make music about connection. I'm sure that's why you can still dip your pen and start writing like you did on Gasms, right? About these songs that are still about humans connecting with each other.
Well, I think that love is the most powerful emotion we feel as people. Love is the most. Love prevails. Even people who hate other people, they hate other people because they call themselves loving their own people. Like bigotry and racism and all that stuff like that. They call themselves loving their own race or their own people, so they got to hate everybody else and do all that. Because of their love
The
of
deep love
but
for the
love is
opposite.
but love is the most powerful emotion that we have and that we feel and that I hope it's everlasting and we need more of it.
Yeah.
We need more people to realize that we're all just people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all this bigotry and all that stuff like that we feel because this dude is black and this dude is white and this dude's Hispanic and it's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Because everybody's the same.
Yeah.
The real race that we are is the human race.
Come
You know what I
on.
mean? And so if you skinned everybody alive, we wouldn't know who was. We wouldn't have any idea who anybody was because all our hearts are in the same place. The blood is red, the kidneys, everything.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So we use, and it's not just racial. Man is just a bigoted kind of individual basically because I remember when we first started to travel overseas. And we would go like to Ireland. And we could go all over Ireland, but we couldn't go to Northern Ireland. Up by Belfast, we couldn't go there because it was taboo. No entertainment or anything could go to Belfast or up in Northern Ireland. Why? Because they're having a civil war.
Oh, wow.
Well, they're all the same people. I mean, they're cousins and brothers and all that. They're the same color.
fighting each other.
They're everything.
Yeah.
They speak the same thing. And why are they warring? Because one is a Catholic and one's a Protestant. Any excuse whatsoever,
To
you know what I'm
be
saying?
divisive,
Yeah,
yep.
you know what I mean? So it's just a crazy, bigotry is just a crazy emotion, man. It's unnecessary. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Does this surprise you that artists don't really sing about love anymore? Because like you said, it's the most powerful emotion, and like not a lot of singers sing about it.
Well, you know what, man? I think that there are some who do, you know, and I think that what happens is it's like anything else. It's like the negative gets the attention.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that even people, I tell people this all the time. People talk about rap and hip hop and all that, and well, they're just negative. No, they're not. They're not.
Yeah.
You know, even when you hear the kids rapping about some negative stuff, they're rapping their lives.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're what they know. This is what life has presented to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what they're talking about, and they're trying to get some attention on that.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah. So it's you know, everybody's got their story,
Yeah.
and everybody's got their feeling. So the kids who are coming up and they're making, you know, when I was a kid, there's always been negative music, you know. But if you dwell on that, then that's what it's going to be. People going to say, well, you know, this is
Right.
negative. But it's not. It's music. It's expression and stuff. When I was a kid, when I was growing up, they used to say, if you can play the record backwards, you're going to get a satanic message.
Yeah.
You know, I never figured out how to play a record backwards. I didn't know how to do
Yeah.
that one. You know what I mean?
Where's the rewind button? Where's the
they used to
backwards
say,
button?
yeah, they used to say that you're going to get a satanic message. And then there were hard rock singers
Yeah.
who were singing about negative stuff. There's always been negative music, but the positive prevailed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like it's going to always do, you know?
Yeah.
It's going to always prevail. So if we're going to dwell on the negative, then that becomes,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Let's remove that focus. And thank you so much,
Yeah.
Smokey. Thank you so much for coming by. This album is out now. Gasm. This conversation was Gasm. Not gonna lie. It's incredible. Anytime we get to spend with you
Yeah.
is an honor. Thank you so much for coming by Power
Absolutely.
106.
Well, being here is a gasm for me, and I appreciate you guys
Let's
so
go!
much. Thank you.
Thank you, Smokey.
Smokey
Thank you
Robinson,
very
Power
much.
106.